well, put everything together and so that you can travel in style for the same price as an economy ticket or maybe less. If you didn't already know, my name is Joseph Rios, and this is my background. A lot of this, a lot of these don't have anything to do with travel, but it looks nice, so I decided to put it on the slides anyway. I am an engineer. I graduated from Rutgers University back in 2012. Shout outs to all the people from Rutgers that are attending this webinar. I also have an MBA from William Patterson University, graduated back in 2019. And currently, I am a real estate agent, real estate investor, and of course, a travel enthusiast. I've been using the points and miles system since 2017. So it's been 7 years now. Time flies. And I started traveling business class back in late 2021. And I actually have a picture here where I can show you how my first business class trip went like. Let's see. So this is me. This was my first business class flight. This was back in November of 2021. And this was in United Polaris. This was a flight from Lima to Newark. My soccer team in Peru had just won the championship, and I asked a nice flight attendant to take a picture of me while I was pretending to be asleep. And for this particular flight, I remember it started off as an economy ticket, and then I used, I believe, 25,000 United miles to be put on the upgrade list. Back then, I didn't know anything, or maybe I did know something, but I wasn't really into the whole miles thing. So I didn't have any status with the airline. Um, to be honest, I don't even know how I came up with the points. I think I had transferred, I think at that point, I might have already had like a travel credit card, and I transferred those points to United in order to be on the upgrade list. Not to be upgraded, but just to be put on the upgrade list. It took 25,000 miles. And fortunately, there was some space available in the business class cabin. And that was my first time being there. It was a great experience. Of course, I took lots of pictures and videos, thinking it might be a while until I got the chance to fly business class again. But that's when my, I guess, passion for traveling and finding the best business class deals kind of started. So why travel business class? So a lot of you here, obviously, most of you probably are familiar with using the point system in order to travel in business class. And I'm assuming a lot of you have already been outside the US, have traveled everywhere, but now you're wondering how, or you probably already have, but you're wondering how, I'm sorry, why travel business class? So first, obviously it's fun. It's nice to travel in business class. You get to board the plane first. You get priority boarding, and you actually have access to lounges if you don't have a travel credit card. This is one of the ways that you can access the lounge without having the priority pass select. I think it's called for the Chase Sapphire Reserve. And in some airports, you'll have separate check-in area, so you don't have to make a line for, in order to check your bags or check in. You also have fast transfer at some airports, especially in Europe. Let's say you have a connection and you obviously have to be in and out of the airport. There are certain lanes where you can do a fast transfer if you have business or first class ticket. And of course, the lie flat seats. Everyone knows that when you have a long flight, uh, as soon as you land, you want to do as many things as possible. And what better way to do it than to be well rested after a 8-hour flight on an actual bed or a lie flat seat. And of course, you have great food and unlimited drinks. You can ask for whatever you want. You can even have the same, you have dinner twice. You can ask for champagne, wine, everything they have on the menu, and as many times as you want. And if you are paying cash, in some occasions, you might not even want to use your points. You might want to pay cash. And if you do pay cash, you earn points much faster than you would if you were to book an economy flight. And of course, much, much more. There's a lot. I mean, the list is endless. And how to travel business class. So this is something that I tell people when they ask me the question like, how do you do it? How is it that you're finding all these deals? The number one rule for me, and I don't know if this is the same way for other travel or business class travelers, but for me is that you need to be flexible. You have to be flexible. You know, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You not just with dates, also with location. So let me give you an example. For instance, I wanted to fly to Barcelona last year. I flew with my dad. So is I try to find a flight for two people, business class flight for two people, and my final destination was Barcelona. Now I know that there are some sweet spots, and I've covered this on my Instagram page. There are some sweet spots with Iberia, where you can fly from New York to Madrid for only 34,000 avios, which is the points currency used by Iberia. Sometimes you can even go less. You can use less points and more cash in the event that you don't have that many points. So for this instance, we flew from New York to Madrid. We stayed in Madrid for a couple of days, me and my dad, and then we took the train from Madrid to Barcelona. It was only like a 2 hour, 2.5 hours train ride from Madrid to Barcelona. So we were flexible with location, and we were flexible also with dates. I was monitoring the Iberia website day after day, trying to find two seats in business class that could take me from New York to Madrid um, anytime during it was like a whole week. So I was checking like for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, as long as I was in Barcelona on a Sunday, because I went there to watch a soccer game. As long as I was in Barcelona on a Sunday, I didn't care which day I left from New York. So that's how you can be flexible with location, not just dates. And if it's a good deal, book it. You know, sometimes I come across like good deals. You if you sign up for the newsletters for some of these airlines, they'll tell you, oh, hey, if you book by this date, you know, your miles will be increased, or maybe the award seats available. You won't need as many points to book them. And usually, all these deals have a deadline. So make sure that you know, if you see that it's a good deal and the dates work for you, book it ASAP, because a lot of people, especially now, are constantly monitoring these um, flights, these award seats, and as soon as they see it, they book it. Now you also have like these websites where you know you pay a fee every month, and all you have to do is just type in your destination, and they'll send you email alerts. So once you know you find your ideal flight, you can book it. You can be the first one to book it. And of course, like I said before, if you don't have enough points, you know, use more cash, save your points for another flight, because you if you want to keep doing this, you are definitely going to need them. And last but not least, you have to learn as much as you can. You know, it's not just about um, I always tell people it's not just about like knowing one way, you know, to book a flight. Like there's different ways to get there, right? Different ways to get to your destination. One way, you know, you always have to have a backup. If in my case, for instance, I wanted to go to Barcelona, I couldn't find anything that would take me straight to Barcelona. I booked to Madrid for less points, and then I took that train, and then I got the chance to visit and do some sightseeing in Madrid. So you know, there's always going to be more than one way to get to your destination while traveling in business class. So definitely learn as much as you can. Definitely learn the routes, which airlines go there, and which points you can use to book your flights. So how to earn points? Of course, the first method is by flying. The more you fly, the more points you earn. I'm actually surprised that there are people that they fly a certain airline and they don't have an account with the airline. So all the years of flying and points that they would have gotten for those flights are gone. So if you fly a certain airline, a specific airline all the time, make sure you have an account with them and make sure you're racking up those points because that's one of the fastest methods to earn points by flying. The second method is by transferring points. So I think a lot of you are familiar with that. If you have a travel credit card, you just transfer your points from the credit card to the airline and then you book on the airline. Not everyone knows this, but in my opinion, I think the best value for your points are definitely transferring out of your credit card into an airline, especially when they have bonus transfers. Like sometimes they'll have promotions where like you can transfer, let's say Avios to Iberia or British Airways for like a 30% bonus. I think Chase just had one where you could transfer 20%. And earn 20% in bonus miles by transferring from Chase to Air Canada. Air Canada's Aeroplan. That's what the currency is called. And also shopping portals. That's another way to earn points. I'm big on using Rakuten. That's one that if you follow me on Instagram, you probably heard me talk about. Rakuten. If you want to rack miles with a specific airline, most of these airlines have a shopping portal. Alaska does, United, American Airlines. Most of the big airlines have them. And if you sign up for their marketing emails, sometimes they even have promotions for like certain stores where you'll earn more than the typical amount per dollar spent. So one of them, I know Adidas, Nike, sometimes, and I've seen that not just on Rakuten, but on United, on Alaska, there'll be certain dates where it'll be instead of earning the regular, let's say 2 points per dollar spent at those stores, you can earn like 10 or 15 points per dollar spent. So that's one way where you can rack up a lot of points without leaving your house. And finally, credit card spending categories. If you guys are familiar with the Chase Freedom or the Chase Freedom Ultimate, you can spend, I believe they have categories like each quarter, and you get like 5 times the points just for spending money with using your credit card on the categories that they have. So for instance, the Freedom this month is if you use your Freedom for groceries, you get 5 times the points. So for those of you who like to do a lot of cooking, definitely take advantage of that. And here I put an image of me transferring Avios from my Chase Sapphire Preferred to Iberia Plus for 11,000 Avios during a 30% bonus promotion period. And of course, transferring points, what I mean by that is you have your travel credit card, you transfer points out of them into the airlines. But when I say transfer points, it's not just you transfer your points and now you're stuck. You can only book on that specific airline. Once you transfer your points, use that airline to book flights on their travel partners. So for instance, with Air Canada, that's one of my favorite one of my favorite airlines because I can transfer from my Chase, from my Amex, I can transfer points and then use Air Canada to book flights on United, book flights on all the other Star Alliance. I'm trying to think of a few off the top of my head that I flew in the past. Copa Airlines. You can even do, no, not British Airways. That's a different one. But you get the point. And You can also use airline co-branded credit cards. I actually don't have any of them, but some of you may know or may have heard about the United Mileage Plus credit card. And those credit cards, obviously, you can only use on United. But even with United, you can also use their website to book flights on different airlines. And of course, always take advantage of the bonus transfers. Sometimes it's hard to predict what's coming up next. It's hard to know, for instance, if British Airways might have a bonus transfer offer on their points if you transfer from Chase to British Airways or Amex to British Airways. It's not like they announce beforehand. Some people might have like inside information, and then you might look through the travel forums and see that, oh yeah, like next month Chase is gonna give a bonus transfer offer on Virgin Atlantic points. It's hard. It's just hard to predict that. But when it is available, take note of the deadline and make sure you transfer your points, obviously before the deadline. And don't just transfer your points just to transfer your points. Obviously, you have to have an idea of where you're going, because if you are gonna be flying, let's say, in my case, going back to the example before with Madrid and Barcelona, if you are going to be flying on Iberia, you know you're going to need Avios. So don't transfer to Air Canada, because that it's not going to work there. Transfer it to Iberia, British Airways, or Qatar Airways. Actually, I don't think you can do Qatar. Transfer it to British Airways or Iberia, so that you can book on that flight from. So you can book on Iberia and get that flight from New York to Madrid, that sweet spot that I spoke about earlier. And I put a quote here that I shared on my Threads account before, that I always say that you get the most value out of your points by transferring to partner airlines, and especially when there is a bonus transfer offer. I'm big of getting the most value out of your points, because sometimes there are people that will rack up like 200, 300,000, 400,000 points and then spend it all on like, one or two trips. And that's completely fine, as long as you're not using, money out of pocket to fly in business class. But I'm big on like trying to get the most value out of it, because I don't have that many. A big misconception people have is that I have like all these hundreds of thousands of points, but I don't really have that many. I just try to take advantage of the little bit that I have. Finally, some action items that you can take right now for free is what I mentioned earlier. If you fly a certain airline all the time, create an account with them if you don't already have one, and claim the miles from your flights in the past. I think you can go as far back as 6 months and claim the miles from those flights. That's how you get. That's the easiest way to get started. And of course, sign up for their newsletter. From time to time they'll have promotions, offers, and you want to be the first to know about them. The second point is you might want to do some reading, some research. You want to learn your airline alliances and transfer partners that I was talking about before. You want to know who belongs to Star Alliance. You have Air Canada, United, who belongs to One World. You have American Airlines, British Airways, SkyTeam. You have Delta, KLM, Air France. The reason why you want to know them is because if you have a plan, if you have a trip plan, if you're planning to go somewhere, you obviously want to know what's the best way to get there. Which airline is going to take me there? And in order to know which airline to transfer to, you have to know who's part of that group, like who is a transfer partner. So in the example with Iberia, I know that I could have transferred through British Airways and booked Iberia through British Airways, or just go on transfer to Iberia and book through Iberia. Whichever one is fine. Actually, you save like $1 or $2 if you book through Iberia. Last but not least, follow me on Instagram if you're not already following me. I have a lot of reels. I haven't posted in a while, but I'm gonna get back into doing that. And if you go through past videos, I talk about all this stuff, everything that I've covered so far. And also, if you don't already have a travel credit card and you're looking to get one, I have a link tree under my on my profile, on my bio. You can click on the link and it'll show you how many points you can get for signing up for all these travel credit cards. And I also have my link, my referral link for Rakuten. If you do a lot of online shopping and you want to start racking up those points, you can sign up for Rakuten through my link. And obviously, I get some points for that, and you get some points as well. I believe right now it's around 3,000 that you get just for spending your first $25 at any of the stores that they have. And that is it. It's 8:28, so we're still good on time. Thank you, everyone. And I will start the Q&A. I see here some questions. Okay, so Neil says, when you say cash, you mean debit card. So when I say cash is when you pay for a flight using cash, like you're not using points to book the flight. You know, it's it's not always about using points. Um, there are some flights that kind of make more sense to just pay cash. And I think one of them was I flew from Madrid to Lima on LATAM Airlines business class, and I believe the cost in miles to get to fly on business class was over 100,000, and the flight itself, if you were paying cash, was like 800 something. So I have a video actually on my Instagram page explaining when to use cash or when to use miles. And the way you're able to you can choose which option to go with is by looking at the cents per point, and that's the valuation that you give your miles. So for instance, if you're not getting that much value from your miles, then it's better to put cash. And I have a video on that on my Instagram page. Would a debit card be better than an airline credit card? I don't know if any debit cards give you the option to rack up miles or points. I think almost all of them are credit cards. Okay, and Jorge or George is asking, is Platinum Amex better than Chase Sapphire for flights? Well, I know the Platinum is more expensive in terms of the annual fee. I don't have the Platinum. I have the everyday Amex card. And I think it also depends on the benefits that you use, because I know Chase Sapphire, not prefer, reserve. They give you the priority pass select lounge access, and the Amex gives you access to the Centurion lounges. So, and a bunch of other benefits. I think the Dell credit and the Saks and Fifth credit, all these other credits. And I know Chase Sapphire Reserve gives you like $300 in travel credit per year. I think it all depends. And it also depends on which airlines you can transfer to, because not all credit cards have the same airline partners. So that's something that you also want to look into. So I know for instance, like, and this is I think this is for hotels. No. This is for airlines. So with JetBlue, before you weren't able to transfer from your Chase to JetBlue. You can only do it on your Amex card. Now it changed. Now you can do it on both. But I think it also depends on which airlines you want to transfer to. If you want to use, obviously, you want to use the points to book your flights. Yes, Delia has the United Mileage credit card. Rakuten, Reddit. Do you know if some of these airlines have a deadline to use your points? No, most of them, once you transfer it, it's there. Now, some airlines, if you don't have any type of activity, you might lose the points, but it's it should be on the profile. Once you have created your profile and you transfer the points, there should be a date there that says like they're valid until this day, and it's usually like a long time from now. So it's not something that you have to book ASAP. But like I said, you should have some type of idea of where you're going. Don't just transfer the points because there's a promotion and you want to do it now. Like if you are already thinking about a future trip, then yeah, do transfer the points. But if you have nothing in mind and you have no plans of traveling anytime soon, then you might want to hold off on transferring, because there might be a promotion for a different airline later down the road, and because you already transferred to the other one, and now you want to book a different flight, you're not able to because your points are stuck in a different airline. How much time does it take for the points to show up after the transfer? Okay, so normally, let's see here. I don't know if I have it on my slides. So here it says allow up to 7 days. Most of them will be instantaneous. There are some where it could really take 24 hours. So if, let's say, for instance, you find a really great deal, you need the points ASAP, and the portal, the website is just taking too long to have your points transferred, what I would do is I would call the airline and tell them, hey, I found this flight. I'm going to be using points. I'm just waiting for these points to transfer from my credit card. Is there a way that you can hold the booking, hold the fare for 24 hours? And most of them will do it for free. Like sometimes you don't even have to pay. All you have to do is ask, be nice about it and tell them, is there a way that you can hold the fare for 24 hours while my points get transferred? And obviously, as soon as you have the points, book it ASAP, because sometimes even though they are holding your fare, someone else might be able to see the space and book it. That's happened to me in the past, where even though they were apparently holding the flight, the fare, the booking, someone else was able to book and take that spot. Watch this videos. Yes, Delia, thank you. Thanks for the info. Okay, we're a family of 3. Is it feasible for the 3 of us to fly business? Also, will my daughter also accumulate miles since she usually gets her own seat? She has her United Mileage account too. Yes, it is possible for the 3 of you to fly business. Of course, like I mentioned before, you have to be flexible. You have to be open to flying on different dates. And it is possible. Sometimes there are these things called phantom seats or ghost availability, where you're looking at the flight and it'll say that there are 3 seats available for these many points. And once you transfer the points, you go there and you want to book the flight, and now there's only 2. It does happen from time to time, and that's because sometimes the system doesn't update right away. So when you're looking at the flight, there may not be 3 seats. There may be 2, but it still shows up at 3. So what I always tell people is, if you're flying, if it's 2 of you, for instance, make sure there are 3 available. And if it's 3 of you, make sure there are 4 seats available, just in case that one of them might not be there anymore. Okay, when not using miles, what app do you go to? Kayak, Hopper, Google Flights. I use Google Flights a lot. You can track your flights. If you find a flight that you like and it makes sense to pay cash, then definitely track more than one. Because what I do is, like, let's say let's just say, for instance, right, like next month, let's say I want to go somewhere, like I want to go to Japan. No, not Japan, that's too far. Let's say I want to go to Barcelona, and I know for a fact, I'm just making this up, I know for a fact that next month the prices are gonna be cheaper than if I were to fly in like May or April or June, right, in the summer. So what I'm gonna do is, like, if I have an idea of when I'm gonna go, let's say I want to go sometime like in the second or third week, I'm gonna start tracking like 1 or 2 flights for the second week, and then 1 or 2 flights for the third week. And the good thing about Google Flights is that they'll give you a graph of like how cheap the flight has been in the past. And if you get an alert saying that, oh, it has reached that price, then definitely book it, right? That's a good deal. Of course, always look at the cents per point if it makes more sense to book cash or to book using your points. Okay, and I think that's it. I think that's everything. I think I answered everything. Yes. All right, so thank you, everyone. Like I said, this might be the first of many. So if anything, I might put together another one for next month. Today's the 31st, so I might do something for the end of February. If you guys have any other questions, like I said, you can follow me on Instagram. You can send me a DM, or I think for the next one, I'm gonna open it up to for you guys to ask questions beforehand, so I can put them as part of my presentation. So thank you, everyone, and I'll see you next time.